Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are diving deep into the brand new survival horror title, Resident Evil Requiem. The big question is this the next must-have game for your collection? Well, let's find out. So first things first, let's get some context on why a game like this is such a huge deal. The survival horror genre, it's a massive $5 billion global industry. That is a whole lot of us who apparently love getting the daylight scared out of us. And that, right there, sets the stage perfectly for this new contender.
And here it is, Resident Evil Requiem. Look, this isn't just another sequel. This is a super polished experience that takes that classic horror formula we all know and love and fuses it with some heart-pounding new mechanics. The goal here isn't just to scare you, it's to pull you into a nightmare that you really can't wake up from.
All right, so for our first section, A New Nightmare Arrives, we're going to explore exactly what makes this title an absolutely essential play for any horror fan out there. So here's the bottom line, the thing you really need to know. Requiem it nails that perfect balance. It totally respects the franchise's roots, with all the tense exploration and puzzle solving, but it also pushes the whole thing forward with some genuinely new ideas. And that makes it an incredible entry point for newcomers and a really, really satisfying new chapter for series veterans. So, how does this all actually feel when you're playing? Let's break down what it really takes to survive the Requiem. In this game, the atmosphere is absolutely everything. The sound design, the visuals, that oppressive, claustrophobic setting, it all works together to create this constant, high-stakes tension. I'm telling you, every dark hallway and every flickering light is designed to keep you on the absolute edge of your seat. Your one and only goal is just to make it through the night. So the core experience really boils down to this tense four-part loop. You'll be exploring these incredibly detailed, creepy environments, you'll be solving some really clever puzzles, and you'll be managing extremely limited resources. And believe me, every single bullet counts. All of this leads to that final, crucial choice. Do you stand and fight the horrifying enemies, or do you turn and run? The combat system feels incredibly intuitive and responsive, and the huge variety of weapons forces you to really think strategically about every single encounter. Plus, with multiple difficulty levels and different endings that actually change based on your choices, this is a game that is just begging to be played over and over again. Now, one of the key innovations people are talking about is the totally revamped inventory system. It might sound like a small detail, but trust me, it adds this whole new layer of strategic depth. Every single choice about what you carry becomes a high-stakes decision, and it makes that whole survival aspect feel intensely realistic. Okay, now, let's switch gears and focus specifically on the PC version of the game. If you've got a gaming rig, you are definitely going to want to pay close attention, because this is where we talk about what makes this platform such a standout choice for Requiem. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the specs. As you can see, the minimum requirements will get the game up and running, for sure. But the recommended specs, that's where the experience really starts to sing. We're talking an i7 or a Ryzen 7 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and at least an RTX 2070. And yeah, an SSD is pretty much a must for those faster load times. But here's the really good news. The developers have done a fantastic job optimizing this game. It's actually designed to be accessible and run well on a huge variety of hardware, so you don't necessarily need some top-of-the-line beast of a rig to have a great, smooth experience. But if you do have the hardware, oh man, the PC version is where this game truly shines. We're talking high-resolution textures that make every rusted surface and grimy wall just pop. Advanced lighting and dynamic shadows create a world that feels terrifyingly alive. And with unlocked frame rates and full 4K support, you can craft the most immersive, most terrifying horror experience possible. So the game looks and plays great, but what are people actually saying about it? Let's take a look at how the critics and the wider player community have reacted since it came out. The professional critics, well, they've been overwhelmingly positive. IGN, for example, called the new combat system a game changer, and they praised how much it adds to the immersion. And that's a really common theme you see in a lot of reviews, praise for its intense action and its rich narrative. And you know what? The players largely agree. Over on platforms like Steam, the community reception is sitting at mostly positive. People are really highlighting the fantastic, engaging story and the genuinely terrifying enemy design. So here's the balanced verdict when you put it all together. The strengths are just undeniable. Its incredible atmosphere, the intense action, the gripping story.
On the flip side, some players have reported a few occasional glitches or technical hiccups, and a handful have mentioned that the pacing can drag a little bit in certain sections. All right, so we've covered the gameplay, the tech, and the reception. Now for the final, most important question. Is Resident Evil Requiem about to become your next horror obsession? So to really understand where Requiem fits in, you gotta look at the timeline. It definitely builds on the modern survival horror gameplay that we saw in Village, but it also connects back to the classic lore of Raccoon City from the early games. And after its console launch back in March, the enhanced PC version dropped in June, really offering the definitive experience.
And what this all means is that Requiem strikes that perfect balance we talked about earlier. Its story is pretty self-contained, which makes it a fantastic entry point for new players. But at the same time, it's packed with enough deep lore to really satisfy those longtime fans.
Ultimately, Resident Evil Requiem is a masterclass in survival horror. It's polished, it's genuinely terrifying, it's visually stunning on PC, and it delivers an absolutely unforgettable narrative journey that is going to stick with you long after you've put the controller down. So, we've laid out all the facts. You've seen the world, you understand the stakes, and you know what's waiting for you out there in the dark. The only question left is, are you ready to face the Requiem?